Hi, it's Khandie of Khandie Photography here, and I'm going to talk to you about how I arrange my photo shoots while living in a small town in England, United Kingdom for those, called Northampton. You're going to hear little noises from a little foster dog that I have just down here. I can't really show her yet until I formalise the adoption. So yeah, she's not going to be shown much on. She might pester a little bit and run up there because that's her favourite place. Disclaimer. So lots of you get in contact with me about how I arrange my photo shoots, particularly the ones that are a little bit more avant-garde, such as the levitation one or the one that was done in the laundrette. And I will be honest, I spend a lot of time walking around the town that I live in and also looking at stuff that inspires me. So a lot of people will use the excuse, oh, I've got nowhere to shoot in my area. But do you know what, if you've got a brick wall with graffiti or a brick wall with gunky stuff on it, you can shoot against it. I don't believe that you can shoot nowhere in where you live. I can't imagine that you can't get permission to shoot somewhere, or you can't shoot in your own garden. It's just about your lack of inspiration. And I think one of the best places to get inspiration is somewhere like Pinterest. And you can find yourself what they call going down the hole of Pinterest, because you start clicking on similar images. You know, you open it up and then you find more and more. I for one have quite an active Pinterest board, and I absolutely love it because I spend a lot of time on Pinterest and I find myself being inspired by images. And then once I find an image that inspires me, I start finding images that like it, and I sort of cultivate them and collect them together on a collection. So if you go on my Pinterest board, I'll put a link down in the description below, and from that I start finding my models and the clothing. Now, finding the model is one of the hardest parts of my job, because Northampton isn't a hub of modelling like it is in London or some of the bigger cities. This is a small town, but finding models that are perhaps a little more in what I want for certain shoots is really difficult. What I tend to do is cast publicly, or I'll put a casting out on my Facebook. I have a private Facebook group I cast from, and also thanks to Facebook there are often quite these collection groups where like models get together. So for this area, so there'll be like Northamptonshire models or Buckinghamshire models, that kind of thing, who are in this area, and I can go on there and look for them. And sometimes I work with agencies. I might find myself looking on places like Model Mayhem, Model Zone, or Purple Port. Full disclosure though, I will tell you now, on those websites, when you are looking for a model, you will often put a casting out, and you will get models who are in no way suitable to the criteria that you've stipulated. So when you are casting, just be aware of that. I also don't believe that there is nowhere that you can't photograph. A lot of people tell me, oh, but Northampton's such a small town. I mean, I've found loads of places to photograph, and often I've got my old faithfuls that I go back to, but I've found that since I've been posting the videos of me shooting there, I've gone to those sites just on the off chance, and I found lots of local photographers back there shooting. And in fact, one photographer actually replicated my shoot while at the same location with a similar model with a similar dress. Obviously that's the issue of putting stuff out on Facebook and online and doing videos, but you know, I guess I took it as flattery. So I tend to find other places to shoot. And you'll be surprised what locations you can get given permission if you're just friendly to people. I got permission to shoot at the laundrette here in Northampton because I actually asked if I could, and the lady said so many photographers don't ask, and they end up getting really annoyed, and she said no, you're more than welcome to come back. And I also, once that work got published, left some copies for her to have so she could see her laundrette being used in a magazine. But I find all sorts of locations. I don't walk around with my eyes closed, and even if I find somewhere that isn't suitable for that shoot, I can keep it in the bank somewhere for me to remember later on. I then also use Instagram. Instagram has this great facility where I've shown previously on a video where you can search for a location and you can go through and see where other people are shooting and where they're located. You can find it on a map. Thanks to one of the Facebook groups and Instagram, I found these great graffiti walls. They're not suitable for any shoots I've got planned, but you never know, I might end up using them. So I walk around quite a lot, and I also, you know, make friends with proprietors of businesses, so I end up myself on some crazy locations. And you know, it's really helpful, and getting to know people is always great because they are technically the people who could be your next client. I know a couple of people I've met when I've done photography on their premises have actually hired me because they just love what I've done. Doing photo shoots when I live in a small town hasn't been a problem. Northampton isn't that small. I think it's just your imagination that can be quite closed down, especially because when you live in an area where you're constantly in it, I think you become desensitized to it and you can start missing things. So I always think it's really good to stay around creative-minded people or start exploring on your own and actually challenging yourself to do photo shoots in mundane locations if you like. So I started photographing around Northampton quite often. I also go over to other towns, and I don't just keep myself here, but you can organise some amazing shoots here. I'm going to drop some in to show you, and I will break them down where I've shot them. So they've not always been the most glamorous of locations, but as a photographer you can create the lie, if you like, or the image. I present the image that I want to present. So it's the same with your small town. You could, if you've got a brick wall somewhere, you can just shoot against it. So you've got this brick wall, you can start adding things onto it, like put some palm leaves in front of it, or build an archway, or make it into monogram, or light it with gels. Nothing is going to stop you other than yourself. And I think this whole persona that having a small town can impinge you as a photographer. I mean, thanks to the world of the internet, all our creativity is sort of there at our fingertips. We can be inspired by images, whereas before we had to go to the library and find books or travel to those locations to see that work. We can now just go online. I don't have to go to Paris to see the Mona Lisa. I can jump online and see it. I can watch catwalk shows in New York online to be inspired by clothing, or I can find out how to create a headdress out of cable ties online, which I have done. I'll insert an image of that. We can do this, and I think the idea is actually to stop thinking that because you're in a small town you can't make these amazing photo shoots. Okay, I hope this helps. It's a bit of a waffle, but it was just to try and get through this whole thing that a small town does not mean small town mentality photography. That's where I was going. Just because you live in a small town does not mean you have to be small time with your photography. Yeah, that's it. You don't have to be small time with your photography just because you live in a small town. So I hope you like and subscribe. Tell me what you love about the town where you live and where you would love to photograph in your town below, and I'll have a look and a nosy and have a look on Instagram for it, or on whatever. So don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell. If anyone is hitting that bell and it's worked, let me know. Okay, take care from Frankie and I, who you can't see because there she is. Bye, and thank you so much.